This call is from a person currently in a prison in England. All calls are logged and recorded and may be listened to by a member of prison staff. If you do not wish to accept this call, please hang up now.
Thursday the 2nd to Friday the 3rd of January 2025, HMP Thameside, Bravo Wing. The banging of the door that rattles the wing continues, so loud. I'm convinced that we need ear protection if nothing's done about it. Obviously nothing will be done about it either. It continues like clockwork. In the day and around 9 p.m, 10:30 p.m, 11:30 p.m, 1 to 2 a.m, and 3 to 4 a.m. The peak times are when people are trying to sleep. I swear the decibels are enough to cause damage to eardrums, so everybody on the wing struggles to sleep, besides the sociopath banger, who I think sleeps during the day when they're banged up for their behaviour that literally only affects prisoners in the same position as them. Last night, somebody told them to kill themselves at around 3 a.m. after a non-stop banging. Hang yourself, they said. I think if they did, most people would be grateful on the wing. Sleep is so vital to good health. A systemic assault on people's sleep is an attack on them physically, as well as mentally. If I'm trying to sleep during the banging, I imagine that I'm on a battlefield with artillery battering around me, and I'm forced to sleep. This somehow helped. My left eardrum literally hurts, and I'm not even as close to the banging as others. I did get a kettle today. It's not as worn out as others. That meaning it doesn't have the heating elements, iron flakes breaking up and floating around in the water. But it doesn't stop boiling by itself, and the water is very cloudy. I thought people had been boiling noodles in it as if it was some sort of starch residue, but after multiple washes it just hasn't got any clearer. Just now, on the news, the occupied South Korean president is under siege of arrest, with BBC salivating at the thought of it, desperate to show the world that should a colonized country oppose wanting war, but rather wanting peace with the West's enemy, you will be overthrown, imprisoned, or murdered. The DPRK literally consists of family members of South Korea, but the supporters, the BBC shows wanting to overthrow their president, are quite literally waving South Korean and US flags. And I wonder who gave the protesters the US flags. I mean, there was hundreds of them. They support the US, their military occupier and colonizer, but not their own people in the north. It astonishes me that people buy this shit, the shit that the West sells. Infuriates, actually. Social reform is also in the news. The BBC seem happy to seem sympathetic to the damning stories of people trying to get the care for their needy and elderly, the elderly of which are comparing most private companies who provide care for the elderly as prisons for them. There's also talk about the £8.50 an hour that the carers of the elderly are on, and how they struggle with bills. But then in the next breath, the BBC and all fascist news agencies / regimes, they put away the violin and say, but who will pay for it? Meaning, who will pay for improved social care? Or call me a communist scum, but the people will pay for it. All value is created from the labour of working people, including the billions of pounds in the private care industry. But those billions are given out as dividends and bonuses to people who will never, in generations, consider social care as a problem for them, because social care is a class issue. Those parasites who make legislation and take profits are the political, banking, capitalist classes. They should pay for all the victims of capitalism. That should be the question. How should we pay for the victims of capitalism? So we never have to hear their forced questions from the who will pay bullshit line ever again. I've refrained from analysis so far, but I may have to for the sake of my diary comment on the news. On this wing, I'm only out of my pad once a day, so you won't get any more prison EastEnders. That's if anybody reads or hear this, that is. Tesla shares shrink in 2025. Shares dropped 4%, with Chinese electronic vehicles mentioned and doubling. The West is finished. The Chinese Communist Party have beat the West at their own game. But more people in China share the awards from participating due to a dictatorship of the proletariat rather than a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, the capitalist class. Ukraine's war map of territories occupied or lost hasn't been shown on TV in months because they continuously lose territory. Even with NATO military hardware, weapon systems, and Western mercenaries, because it will be obvious if it shows the war map that they are losing. Instead, you only hear about rare PR stunts, which are militarily useless. Yesterday, on Thursday, I responded via email to a bunch of good people who sent me Christmas wishes, replying to them and sending them New Year's wishes. I welcome messages from everybody and encourage you to do the same with all political prisoners. As political prisoners, we don't fit in easy, or maybe we don't want to fit in with the other prisoners on the wing, just like many others. How could we? Our consciousness and our morality is very different. And on that note, I actually never thanked everybody properly who sent me Christmas cards, so I'm going to do that now. So thank you for the cards and the wishes from Hella, Sled, Karen, Terry, Sandra, Mustafa, Hillary, Judith, Natty, Andrea, Mallard, Wendy, Denise, NY, Gina, Lizzie, Polly, Zoe, Claire, Sue, Fina, Vicky, Rachel, Mortiz, Leslie, Cara. There's also more people who send me stuff, Christmas cards, letters, and the like, but they never signed it. So if you have done all of those things, gratitude goes out to you also. And I might have pronounced some names properly or improperly and not included some names because your handwriting is simply too fancy pants for me. So I couldn't understand this. I'm sorry about that. But again, I'm really thankful for that. And again, I do encourage everybody to continue to send stuff into all political prisoners. It does make a huge difference. Thank you. My property is being allowed on my visit on the 7th of January. The property is only allowed once a year in HMP Thameside. I highly anticipate my visit, as well as having fresh clothes to wear every day. Cleaning of clothes by a wing cleaner is once a week. Had I spent one more day on my previous wing, A Lowers, I could have had my clothes washed. But it's been 8 days since my clothes being washed. I haven't got enough to wear. Clean socks, undies, pants, etc. are all dirty. and in total, I'll have to wait 12 days before any of my clothes can be washed. That's because of the laundry on this wing is once a week. After the shower today, I had to get into dirty clothes, so I'm grubby instantly and itchy from dead skin or bacteria in my clothes. It's really not good. Hopefully, I can put the grub behind me from my visit and have a property handover with fresh clothes.
Thank you for tuning in to Diary of a Political Prisoner. What was a shortlisted for you was a period of time in prison for me. So please make sure that you subscribe on whatever podcast player you're listening on to be notified of future episodes. Each episode was recorded in a prison cell as I'm held on remand for allegedly being involved in a Palestine action to disrupt and destroy weapons in a genocidal Israeli arms factory under Section 5 of the Terrorism Act. My diary is a podcast only to give you something in the hope that you can give help and support to my mum and son, which I can't do by any other means from prison. In supporting them, for £5 a month, you can get a week's worth of episodes in advance every Monday. For £10 a month, you'll get the week's worth of episodes. Plus, I'll respond to any question you have in a monthly question and answer episode on my Patreon at patreon.com/politicalprisonerpod. For £25 a month or humanitarian aid tier, you get all of the above while knowing my little boy is supported and happy. One-time donations can be made by emailing or messaging my producer on social media. Media/collaboration inquiries are on the same line as senders and inbox. If you can't support me family in my absence, please follow the podcast on Instagram if you're going to be listening. Please follow on Twitter, all of our socials. Our handle is Diary Poll Prisoner. Please share them and this podcast with your friends. It's free to do and it helps this project grow. You can also send me a prisoner email or letters, drawings, anything like that. Links to everything mentioned can be found in the podcast description below. Thank you, love and solidarity.